Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
The dumbing down of standards for abortion practitioners in California are a harbinger of things to come in Obamacare. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action. Joining me again is Sean Akers, Liberty Counsel's Vice President of Middle Eastern Affairs. Sean, just before we went to recording, we were talking a little bit about this bill in California that the governor will likely sign there, will likely pass, that will allow, because there has been just a mass exodus of doctors willing to perform abortions. They're starting to get it. It's a violation of the Hippocratic Oath. They're not saving lives. They're killing people. They're not helping women. They're hurting women. So it has left a huge vacuum for people to perform abortions across the country. Well, in California, they figured out what they're going to do. They're just going to dumb down the standards and just basically let everybody and anybody who feels like it perform an abortion. Nurse practitioners, certified nurses, midwives, physician assistants would all be allowed to perform abortions in California if this measure passes. That in and of itself is horrifying when you just take it in the context of the abortion debate. But the larger picture that you pointed out, and I think you've hit the nail on the head here, is that what does this tell us about Obamacare and the standards of health care that we can get, not just for relative to abortion, but across the board?
Well, look at the response here, Matt. One of the great things that they've given here, one of the supports that they've given for allowing this dumbing down of the standard, as you put it, is the fact that there aren't enough doctors in rural areas. Now, oftentimes we can be clued into the larger implications of a discussion by what's not being said. Now, why is it, Matt, that of all the things that rural people may need medical care for, I would start, with emergency services, why those haven't been on the table? Why hasn't Toni Atkins, the assemblywoman who's put this forward, why hasn't she been concerned with getting emergency care out in these rural areas for people that don't have emergency care? Because it seems like that would be more on their minds than abortions. But what has taken center stage is providing abortion care in rural areas that don't have enough doctors, and the way that they've planned to do that is by allowing non-doctors to perform these sometimes very dangerous procedures. And those include, by the way, physician's assistants, which is nothing against physician's assistants. They play a vital role in our medical care, but it's a master's degree, Matt. Yeah. It's a master's degree. So what we're saying is that in these areas, because we don't have enough doctors, that we'd like to make sure that everyone has the maximum opportunity to have an abortion, that we're going to allow physician's assistants, nurse practitioners, and registered nurse midwives to perform these procedures. Now, as you started to point out, this has more than one implication. Yeah. Because we may very well we've seen something of an exodus of doctors from the medical practice since the advent of Obamacare. On two different ends. Some that are already in practice saying, I can no longer afford to remain in practice and what I see coming, and others who had planned to go to medical school saying, the incentive has just dropped substantially in my mind, and I may go see about being an engineer or an attorney or something else rather than a doctor. The result of that, Matt, in the minds of many, is a coming shortage in doctors, and doctors becoming too expensive under the Obamacare scheme.
It's already happened.
It has, to afford for procedures that have in the past been doctor-performed procedures, so that we might be looking not just for abortions, but for a variety of medical procedures to the same type standard that you see here being interposed on abortion.
That's right. And as you point out, nothing against nurse practitioners, nothing against physician's assistants, but I don't, want them performing my appendectomy. And even with abortion, we know that there are oftentimes medical complications that arise. Well, they're not trained. They're not equipped. They don't have admitting privileges to the hospital. They don't have, the years of education and necessarily the skills to always. Some of them are very talented nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. But the point is, it is the watering down of the quality of health care. We see California really as a metaphor for Obamacare. They're going to always start with the abortion issue because that's the left's sacred cow. That's sacrosanct. We've got to make abortion available so that women can kill their babies everywhere, and we'll put that as our top priority. But that's there are two kind of big issues that we're discussing here. Again, the watering down of the quality of abortion care, to use their language. There's no care involved, and the larger watering down and dumbing down of our healthcare system through Obamacare. Well, Sean, I'm gonna be cynical here. I'm gonna say this is all by design. We know that Barack Obama stood publicly and said that the ultimate goal here is to have a single-payer system. Complete government health care, socialist medicine, socialized medicine. That's the goal. So what do? They write a bill that cannot function, cannot work. They can't even roll it out. The incompetence runs amok in the Obama administration. They can't even start to implement it on the time schedule that was arbitrarily assigned. Even if they could roll it out and begin it, the infrastructure is not there to support it, and doctors are fleeing the coop. They're jumping ship because it's a sinking ship. What's that going to leave? Well, we're left with no other choice but to have a complete government takeover of healthcare, which of course involves free abortions for everybody.
Well, Matt, one of the things you have to do when something is unreasonably expensive is find places to cut. And one of the places, the greatest single expense, I'm sure, in medical care are the price of the doctors. Now, we should also be fair, though, to the nurse practitioners and physician's assistants that are mentioned here. They may very well not want to be put in that boat as well. Yeah. Can you imagine if your job description just changed from your normal responsibilities to now having to provide abortions yourself, not just assist, but having to provide them? And you're talking about changing that from a business model standpoint. Those places that provide abortions then just find a whole new classification of people who can be sent out to earn more money through more abortions. In the real world, I think the reality is coming home to rest, Matt, that Obamacare, many of us knew that it was going to be far too expensive from the very beginning, but now it's dawning on everyone that it's just far too expensive. And the same thing that the European-styled socialist experiments, they went through the same convulsions and they came to the same conclusion, that you can't continue to provide American standards of medical care at European socialist prices. It won't work. So you have to adjust one or the other, and unfortunately, we seem to be adjusting toward socialist care rather than American standards.
Which was by design. That was the plan all along. President Obama said as much. Yeah. What's amazing to me is that so few people are willing to look the truth, right in the face and recognize that this was all by design. Nancy Pelosi, you'll recall, we got to pass the bill before we can know what's in it, but to find out what's in it. Utter nonsense.
It is. And where else in life would we act in such a way? But you and I pointed out many times, Matt, that abortion has always, whether it's parental consent or whether it's availability, whether it's prescription rights, whether it's the doctors having to have privileges at local hospitals, abortion has always been treated differently than other medical procedures. And this is just one more example in a long line of that travesty.
Well, Obamacare will require taxpayer funding for abortion, whether it's doctors, nurse practitioners, physicians' assistants, or whoever performing those abortions. Liberty Counsel's case against Obamacare marches forward. We're headed to the Supreme Court with our appeal. standing for religious freedom, we should not have to be forced to pay for abortion. Employers should not have to pay for a substandard product for their employees. Go to lc.org to read about our Obamacare case, to find out what we're doing to defend against the multi-billion-dollar abortion juggernaut. That's lc.org, or give us a call, 1-800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.